Hi guys, Glass Falling here. I finished my first LP now, and Fear Effect is up on Facebook and raring to go for anyone who particularly wants to watch it. And I figured, since I've done that, and I've in the community and stuff like that, I thought I'd do a random video blog thing, just to give people an insight into the workings of my mind a little bit, and have a little bitch, because I'm a little bit miffed at the moment about the state of DLC at the moment, and I'm not going to completely go on about what makes DLC good and what makes DLC bad. To be fair, someone's already done that. Lots of people have already done that, and someone's done it a lot better than me. A good video to watch about DLC content is actually Halloween 4545. I think that's the screen name. His video is he brings up much better points than I could ever about what makes a good DLC and what makes bad DLC. The thing I want to discuss, and I just want to bitch about, because frankly, that's all I'm doing really. I'm just bitching while playing columns. It's just that how the incentive to play games seems to be disappearing. And what I mean by that is, if you go back, like I know I'm covering PS1 games on my Let's Plays right now. I'm actually sorting out recording for Techno's Deception, which I've just recorded the first chapter of, and that should be up later. But my point being is that when I say that the incentive has been taken out of games, and taken out of playing games, is that in terms of collectibles, right? Like, yeah, we got trophies, and yeah, trophies and achievements depending on which console you have. But in some games, particularly fighting games, there doesn't seem to be the same desire to complete games. Like when I was younger, I was a massive Tekken fan and DOA fan, still am, right? I was playing DOA 5 earlier, and all the costumes, for example, all the costumes are available on PlayStation Store, Xbox Arcade, whatever the hell you use, right? And you can just buy them off. You just buy them. You wait a couple of weeks for them to come out, and then you buy them. Whereas before DLC particularly became a big issue, you earned them. You played the game under specific circumstances, and then you play the game through. For example, in like DOA 1, you'd play through tournament mode a couple of times. You'd unlock different costumes for different characters, and there would be a crap ton of costumes to unlock. I mean, yeah, there were crap tons of costumes and skins in DOA 5, but you have to buy them. Now, call me old-fashioned and call me cheap, but I'd rather earn them. I'd rather play the game and unlock them myself rather than just buy them off the PlayStation Store, because then I felt I've achieved something. I'm not a big fan of trophies. I don't really care for trophies and achievements of that sense, just to go, oh, look at me, I completed Resident Evil 6 today. I'm not particularly bothered on that. Well, what I want is incentive to play your games. I spent hours on DOA 1 and DOA 2 Ultimate for the Xbox. I spent hours on that game, and not just online playing against other people, unlocking all the costumes and unlocking and just completing it through on the various story modes and arcade modes and stuff to unlock everything, because that's how you got all the game. You didn't just go on PlayStation Store, etc., and just buy it. You had to play the game and earn it, and you got that sense of achievement, that sense that you've actually done something. And it felt like the creators were encouraging you to play their game. Whereas today, the sense is, as long as they have your money, they're not particularly fussed on whether or not you still play their game, you know, for longer than 5 minutes after you bought it. And you know, that saddens me to some extent, because, you know, surely you want a reason to play games, right? And not just because some, you know, publisher told you, or some ad reviewer told you, you know. You want a reason to still want to pick up the games. Well, that was a fail. You know, games that you played years ago today. Like, for example, I still play the Tekkens on the PlayStation, and I was playing DOA 1 the other day. You know, just because I felt like unlocking things, because I was getting so frustrated with DOA and the lack of unlockables and secrets in it, that I was just like, well, I'm gonna go to play a game that, you know, I can actually do stuff like that. Now, some of you may agree, some of you may disagree. Most, depending on which era of gaming you're from, particularly people who've come into gaming in this era, where everything is readily available online, and we've, you know, created lazy gamers, you know, probably going to disagree with me and say DLC is fantastic for people, you know, who can, you know, you can just get everything straight off the bat, and, you know, everything's unlocked ready for you. But surely that defeats the object of playing a game. Now, you know, I'm not saying we should ban DLC. There are instances where DLC can be fantastic. You know, Fallout. You know, I still maintain, right? Fallout Lookout Point is possibly the, you know, one of the best things that happened to that game. You know, it extended the gameplay, gave you a new area to explore, you know, new things to find, and, you know, more backstory. You know, it gave you, you know, a little bit more backstory into the whole nuclear fallout thing. I'm cool with that, alright? Because, you know, I've been given a reason to play the game. Not just, oh, here's an extra $5, you know, spend an extra £5. Oh, look at that, you know, Kasumi's now in a bikini. You know, there's no real fun in that. Really, you know? Not like in, like, DOA 2 Ultimate, where you had to wade through 15, 17 costumes to get to, you know, the swimwear collection. Now, I'm not particularly fussed on that anymore. At the time, I was like 14, and yeah, it was fucking fantastic, don't get me wrong, when you're that young. Whatever. But nowadays, I'm probably getting sentimental, but as I've reiterated throughout this video, like, I want a reason to play video games. I want, you know, incentive. I don't want just, you know, play your game cause, you know what I mean? So it's just like, that's where I feel DLC can really let games down. Like, I mean, let's be honest, there's not much DLC you can give for a game like Tekken or DOA 5. But, you know, so then, you know, what else are you going to do? You know, you can pretty much only give them unlockables to begin with. You know, there's not much else you can put in DLC. You can't really give them new levels. You know, you can give them new arenas, but you can't really give them new levels because there are no levels. It's a fighting game. You know, maybe give them new characters, but then again, surely you can just unlock that like you know, like they've done for years in the past. And you know, that ultimately that's where my, you know, problem with DLC is. It seems to have gotten less about the gamer and more about the industry. Now, of course, you know, both go hand in hand. You know, you need one to complete the other. You know, I'm not here to say down with society or anything like that. Alright, I'm not particularly pro any political affiliation. I can see advantages to both of them, but what I'm trying to say is, it's all very lazy, you know? DOA 5 DLC could easily just be all unlockable, and, you know, they can move on. You know, you don't need to try and con people out of their money to expand your game. You know, surely if your game's good enough, you shouldn't need people to spend more money on it. You know, and if they got reason to play it, they will. And ultimately, that's where I feel DLC becomes, you know, a hindrance rather than... God, I suck at this game. You know, rather than a productive aspect of gaming, you know? Now, I told myself I wouldn't, you know, rant too much about DLC, and that seems all I'm doing at the moment is ranting about what's wrong with DLC, because there is plenty wrong with DLC. I'm not, as I said before, I'm not against DLC. I like DLC when it's done correctly. You know, some games should not have DLC. They should not have DLC for some games. Fighting games are one of them. Sporting games are another. There's no need for it. You know, it's just naked profiteering. And when it comes down to just squeezing a couple of extra, you know, bucks out of people, that's when I get concerned for the market, because, you know, it's not like it's like they're not even trying anymore. Now, I'll admit, I am old school when it comes to gaming. Obviously, I'm playing a freaking Mega Drive at the moment. You know, it barely gets more old school than a Mega Drive. You know, you got your NES and your Commodores and your Master Systems and stuff and your Ataris, but, you know, we are heading towards the early days of gaming. But, you know, it feels like we're going back, and, you know, some of you may agree and some of you may disagree. It depends on, you know, your own point of views, but it feels like we're going back to the age of arcades, where games were made stupidly hard, you know, to mill people out of their money, for lack of a better word, is the only way I can think of right now. But, you know, you'd have arcade games, like I remember playing Time Crisis, or House of the Dead, in arcades religiously, and I would spend lots of money on those games because they were so hard and I wanted to complete them. You know, and they were purposely done that way. They were you know, you play the console version of Time Crisis or House of the Dead, right? It is nowhere near as difficult as the arcade versions. Right? Especially, you know, like, and that's just counting proper consoles now. I'm not like talking like you can play Time Crisis 1 on like EPSX and save state the fuck out of it. Yeah, obviously that's going to be easier than playing in the arcade because you can just save your best moments. But my point is that I got much further in the console version with the same amount of continues and lives as I did in the arcade. You know, there's something up with that, you know? And it feels like gaming is going back to that way, where they're trying to, you know, grind as much money out of people as they possibly can. Now, if you're happy to, you know, be like that, then yeah, sure, that's your prerogative. If you're happy to spend your hard-earned cash on pointless DLC and pointless, you know, equipment buffs, then more power to you. You know, whatever makes you happy, whatever floats your boat, go for it. But, you know, me personally, I want... As I said before, I want an incentive to play my games. I don't want, you know, things just to be thrown at me. I want to earn them. I want to feel like, yeah, I deserve that because I did A, B, and C. And we're going away from that. It's a lot of games nowadays seem to be about who's got the most money can get the best stuff. And it shouldn't be that way, you know? Gaming's always been about skill, and it's always been about, you know, technique. It shouldn't be. It should be about, you know, people wanting to play your games. People, you know, taking the time to master your games, and, you know, really grinding in the hours if they want to be that good and they want to get everything. You know, it shouldn't just be like, oh, well, here's my credit card, go nuts. As I said, you know, this is probably just me being sentimental and nostalgic, and, you know, the common viewpoint right now is that DLC, in terms of, like, you know, DOA 5 is good, where you can just buy all the costumes and all the arenas and, you know, extra shit straight off the bat, almost. But, you know, I would have to disagree, and while I'm not going to lead a campaign into stopping DLC because, you know, let's face it, developers have got us by the balls. If that's what they want to do, that's what they're going to do. I mean, you know, you can all, well and good, try and boycott the games, but essentially you're only damaging yourself, because unfortunately there are a lot of stupid people out there, or, you know, non-stupid people, but people who have misguided opinions, I'm just saying, that, you know, are still going to buy this DLC. The amount of people I know that have bought the DOA 5 DLC baffles me. It really does. I just can't understand the justification of spending that, you know, spending that much money on, you know, what is essentially alternate skins. You know, Mortal Kombat did it. Mortal Kombat. I love the Mortal Kombat game, but they did it with Freddy Krueger and Rain and everything, where they made you pay for it. And, you know, that's just, well, you know, anyone who's played the new Mortal Kombat game will know that it's got a fucking huge challenge mode. Why can't you make them a part of the challenge mode? Sorry, let's go on hard mode. Let's just get going straight away. You know what I mean? And it's just like, it just feels like extortion to me. It just feels like extortion where, you know, if you want everything, you have to prove your loyalty by giving us your money. It's not good enough that we're playing your games anymore. We have to spend more money on you. And that's just, you know, you start thinking about that, and really thinking about it. That's a scary thought. That, you know, they're only going to give us extra stuff, extra content, if we, you know, pledge money to them. Steam is the biggest criminal of this offence. And don't get me wrong, I love Steam. Right? Steam is a fantastic idea. I milk Steam for all it's worth because it's so cheap. Right? But you look at their pre-order deals, right? And it's all based on how much people pre-order. That's a dangerous game, you know. And that just the fact that, you know, we're heading down that route is scary thinking. And, you know, you know, you are running the risk of having another game market crash, and, you know, people might scoff and laugh and say I'm being paranoid and say I'm being delusional and, you know, I'm crazy, I'm just a crazy person, which I'll be fairly true. You know, it's not that unthinkable. I mean, you know, we're in the middle of a recession still, right? We're still not out of a recession. No one still has, you know, that much money to be playing around with. Yet they still, you know, they still expect us to, you know, funnel out cash for extra content, where, you know, it's no real difficulty of theirs just to make it an unlockable aspect of the game. Optional if you want to make it, you know, to buy, then, you know, yeah, sure. But you have to give people the opportunity to get it for free. You know, because not everyone has the money to blow on fucking DLC. The best example of this I can think is, not just Mass Effect 3, but you play the NHL games. Like, I got NHL 2010, I think. It's a very old game. I don't renew my games that often. But, you know, there's the option in that game where you can either go on, you know, you can't do it anymore obviously because it's closed because it's such an old game, but the option was there where you could buy the best equipment and the best slots straight off the bat from PlayStation Store, or you could play the game and unlock them. Right? You had the option. You could, you know, if you wanted to spend the money, you could. If you wanted to unlock it and do it properly, then you could do that also. And there weren't any real penalties. It didn't change the game that much. You know, it didn't make it that much easier to play. It did make a bit of a difference, because otherwise what's the point? But it wasn't game breaking. It didn't, you know, if you didn't spend the £5 or whatever, then you weren't punished for it. You were just simply rewarded for buying it earlier, a little bit. you know, and I'm okay with that. That's fine, right? Because you're giving me the option. You're not forcing it down my throat, and that ultimately is my beef with DLC. Is that, you know, if you want everything, you don't have the option of unlocking it. You know, you have to. You know, you have to buy it. Now, I know people, like, I've been slagging off DOA 5 because it is the biggest culprit I can think of right now, and that's the reason why I'm so butthurt about the whole concept. But, you know, and you can say, oh, well, you know, they do give you, you know, 3 unlockable costumes, with, you know, in that game, if you complete the game on Legendary difficulty. Yes, they do. They do that. But that's only 3 costumes for 3 characters, right? And they're 3 characters I don't use, right? I don't use Christy, I don't use Lisa, and I don't use Tina. I couldn't give a shit about DLC for those characters, you know, gameplay unlockables for them, because I don't use them. So what good is those unlockable skins when, you know, I don't use those characters, so I'm never really going to benefit from them. You know, if I want to benefit from you know, extra content, I have to spend money. So, you know, yeah, exactly. So what? Yeah, okay, so they're giving me a couple of things to unlock. Wow, 3 things. God forbid. You know, please hold me upright, you know, before I faint. And you know, I've kind of gone off track again, because I have gone into almost full-blown rant mode now, which isn't unlike me, but it's just frustrating, because the warning signs are there, right? And I'm not trying to be all like, ooh, be warned, the end of the world is nigh. I couldn't give a fuck about that. All I'm saying is, people have to, you know, you have to be careful about what you're doing. You've got to have a plan. And at the moment, it just seems to, seems to be the, you know, the accepted thing is just to crap out any old mess, and people will pay money for it. You know, and you know that's a dangerous game to play. So I said, right, DLC when done correctly is a fantastic tool. It really is. It really is an amazing idea, and I have got nothing against it. Again, see my point at, you know, the Fallout DLC, or even the Skyrim DLC, or even, oh, what was the other one? I can't remember now. I did have other DLC for a game, and I can't remember what game it was. It was alright, like, but, you know, it was worthwhile getting, you know, until I completed it all. Yeah, you know, New Vegas, for example, that's it. You know, it's all, you know, differing on your opinion of the maps, but, you know, it gave extra story. It wasn't just, oh, your character looks a bit different, £5 please. And that's ultimately, as I keep on saying, my problem. To be honest, I think I've fully blown out my moaning now, my complaining. Yeah, I guess I've exhausted my points of complainingness, you know. Ultimately, footnotes, DLC is only good when done correctly. Stop making me spend extra money to unlock shit that you could unlock in the gameplay like we used to do in, not necessarily the good old days, but when DLC wasn't an option, you know? Now that DLC's become an option, developers don't seem like they could give a fuck. Oh yeah, that's the thing I wanted to mention. Metal Gear Solid 4, right? The podcasts, perfect example of fan service, right? Because they don't have to do that. You know, they don't. Anyone who's got PS3 and has played Metal Gear Solid 4, regardless or not whether you like the game, that is irrelevant, right? The whole podcast system is something that should be praised and should be repeated, not exactly in the same format, but something along those lines, something that gives back to the fans for buying their game, you know. It teaches you all the secrets, teaches you backstory. You get to know what the developer's mind process in thinking, in creating the game, regardless of your opinion of Metal Gear Solid 4, because there is a lot of varied opinion on that game. Things like that, you know, should be rewarded and should be remembered and should be condoned. You know, more developers need to go down that route. If you want me to spend extra money on your game, give me a reason other than, oh look, they're wearing different clothes. You know, especially for something, because for DOA, because that's been DOA's niche in the market. That's what made it stand out as opposed to Tekken. Because let's face it, it was never as technical as Tekken, and it's never been as popular as Tekken. So, you know, they did it with unlockables. You know, Tekken's always been, you know, until Tekken Tag Tournament 2, it's always been rather short on unlockables and reward systems, you know? So, oh shit, I'm about to lose. Never mind. So yeah, you know, that was always DOA, Dead or Alive's, you know, niche. That, that you could unlock loads of different costumes, and in the later games when the graphics got better, yeah, you could perv on the female characters if you so desired. But nowadays they're making you pay for what essentially was, you know, a market strategy, you know, that made you want to play DOA 5, you know. It gave you a reason to keep on going back through story mode and doubles. I wonder what that is. Flash columns. Let's play flash columns for that. You know, it gave you a reason to keep on going through the arcade modes over and over and over again with the characters, because you always got something for it. You know, besides secret characters, you know, DOA 1 has, you know, 2 secret characters to unlock. DOA 5, yes, I'll admit, DOA 5 does have, I'm trying to think now, it has 4? Or is it 5? Has 5, yeah, 5 unlockable characters, because you have Genfu, Alpha 152, Pi, Sarah, and Akira, I think his name is. Yeah, that's good, don't get me wrong, that's fantastic, right? And even though you have to play through what is called story mode, but I hesitate to actually name it story mode. You know, you do get unlockables, and you get some unlockables, and that's good. But yeah, I've done it. What's stopping them? I'm game over. That was correct. You know, what's stopping them? You know, making everything else unlockable. If they can do that and make characters unlockable, why can't they do it for everything else? Why do we have to spend the money on that? You know, surely, if you've released a game, it's finished. You know, so why do you need to keep on? You know, why do we need? Why do you need to grind us for more cash if your game is finished? You know, if all you've got to add are costumes, surely you could have come with that beforehand and unlock them or patch them. You know, make use of the internet. You could have, you could patch them. You know, make them unlockable after, once you've come up with them, and you can either set them straight away, or you can, introduce a patch where you have to complete arcade modes on, under specific things, under specific circumstances, again, to unlock shit. Whatever. It's just... it just feels like we've been taken for a ride, and, we need to be careful about things like that, You may agree or disagree, and frankly, if you disagree, I want to know why. Not for any, because I'm right and you're wrong. Generally, I'm interested, I need some, stirring debate. Unfortunately, most of the people I talk to agree with my points, so it's kind of hard to debate when everyone agrees with you. So, if there's anything in this video that's made you go, well, that's not right, oh, I'm gonna set him straight. Set me straight, please. Well, seriously, I'd love to get into a discussion with some people on what they think, because it's obviously a very important subject. So yeah, if you got something to say, please say it. Not in a challenging way. Really, I'm simply curious. Right? I'm an inquisitive being. I'd like to know. I'd like to know what people who are watching my videos think. So, sorry, excuse me. So yeah, this is me being bitching about the state of DLC and fighting games particularly, but in general as well. I didn't mean for it to go on as long as it has, but hey, yay! I did that. So yeah, I've been playing columns. So yeah, Deception should be up and running in about half hour. Well, actually, it should be, by the time this video is up, Deception should be, the first part of Deception should be done, actually. So, half hour from when I'm recording this, but actually, by the time this comes up, it'll be done, so that's good. Probably, I won't be LPing again now until Thursday. Well, I'll probably start Parasite Eve. I'll probably run Parasite Eve and Deception along at the same time, because, why not? Gotta keep busy. So yeah, please let me know your opinions and what you think. If you've got anything to add to the discussion, if you think I've been rambling too much about the same thing, let me know. I'll do better next time. This is completely unplanned. This is basically, I just I was just feeling a little bit butthurt and just wanted to vent, so I've been venting, which is why there's no real coherent flow to this video. I've just been, it's completely unscripted. I've just ranted, essentially, and just had a good old bitch. So yeah, this is Glass Fallen. Please tune in to my new other Let's Plays, and Deception will be up. Well, by the, if you've seen this video, Deception's already up, then go check it out. Further than that, go check out my Fear Effect Let's Play that I finished today also. Awesome. Well, thank you for watching and listening to me complain about things, and I'll probably, this won't be the last one again, because who doesn't like a good old rant, eh? So once again, this has been Glass Fallen signing out. Bye.